The film starts off with a woman lying dead on her bed. The camera then palms along her room, showing it to be a messy place. We are then shown the woman to be a mother of a small family. A small girl then walks in and finds her. This is shown to be a dream as a woman called Rose wakes up to a phone ringing. She gets a call and is then taken by a nurse to a man called Carl, who is talking to himself saying nothing matters. He then leaves and Rose sits down next to him. He stops talking and Rose tells my man to chill as he is just having an episode. He says no as he feels the pain around him, and she tells him she understands and she tells him that he is fine. She leaves and the patient is taken away. Rose goes to the desk and tells the nurse to put in for observation. Just about to leave, the nurse tells her Dr. Desai is looking for her. She walks into his office and meets Desai. He asks her about a patient she dealt with last week and tells her that she can't be treated as she has no insurance. She tells him the board should care about the job and remember that they help people. He understands her and tells her he will handle it, just to let him know before. Before she leaves, he asks her if she has been doing overtime and she pauses. She leaves her office and as soon as she is gone, her phone goes off again. She picks up. This shows she is passionate about her job and doesn't have her own life. She gets told about a new patient who just comes in and is told she is called Laura and has caused a disturbance. She does not have any history, however, she is the only witness to see her teacher to kill himself with a hammer. She walks and finds Laura Scatty in the corner of the room. Rose calms her down and tells her to sit down. She questions her on what's going on and Laura says she is not crazy, but keeps seeing things. She tells Rose this thing follows her around and changes faces. It always does things around her. Rose tells her to chill and it's just in her head, and this makes Laura scared as she understands Rose isn't believing her. Laura is explaining she is getting told today she is going to die, but while talking she freaks out and crawls back. She freaks out then dies, making Rose call for help. She turns back and Laura staring at her and smiling. She then slices her face and neck while still smiling and then falls to floor. Nurses come in and this leaves Rose terrified. The police pull up and question her. They ask about her and what happened. Rose explains she may have been dealing with psychosis and explained that she was smiling. The Popo just think Laura was a nutcase. Rose arrives home and has a shower, still traumatized on what she had just seen. He gets some water from her fridge and turns around. While turned, she looks across the room and sees Laura on the other side of the smiling, looking straight at her. While her name gets called out and it's Trevor, her man. They meet and he asks if everything is okay and explains someone died at work. They hug and Trevor comforts her. She goes out for dinner and meet with her sister Holly and her husband Greg. They talk on and they tell Rose does she work all the time and not get rich. However, Trevor tells them she does it because she loves her job. They go back and forth and the scene turns tense. They arrive home and Trevor comforts her. The next day she is back at work. She asks the desk if they can get her files on the Laura's case when she became a witness on the teacher. She turns around and sees Joel, the cop that came and questions her to see if she is all right. She says she is fine and asks why is he here. He tries to drop some game, but Rose isn't feeling it and tells him she got to get back to work so safe. She is in the office reading Laura's witness statements and gets a call from Holly. She answers and Holly is apologies to her about last night. They talk, and while Rose is looking at the window, she sees Laura outside again. While walking, we see the first patient, now named Carl, smiling. She turns around and questions him, but he doesn't respond and just smiles. He starts talking and approaches, saying she is going to die. She walks out and tells the nurses to restrain him, but when she turns back, he is in his bed sleeping. Dr. Desai calls her in and explains that all this weird stuff is happening with her. He tells her he is going to give her a 1 paid week off so she can relax, as she has been working 80 hours a week herself. She leaves and buys a gift on the way home for Holly's son, as it's his birthday soon. While at home, she asks how long will Trevor be, and he says he is still at work. She pours another drink, however the house alarm goes off. She arms herself with scissors and checks the door. She turns the alarm off and walks towards the curtain. While walking, the phone goes off, and it's a woman on the phone from the security company. She asks if everything is okay, and Rose explains that her door is open. The woman then asks if she is alone, and she says yes. The women then say, "You sure?" and tells her to look behind you. The phone goes off again, and it's shown to be an hallucination, and the real woman from the company then calls. The police arrive and check the house. They check the house and say everything is clean. Trevor arrives and questions on what's going on. When they are in the kitchen, she plays off everything is cool and goes outside to feed her cat. The scene then plays out of her mom being found dead, and so she wakes up again. She goes and listens to the tape of Laura before she dies. He hears a small whisper and rewinds it and hears it for a while. While listening to it, Laura pops out, making Rose shit her pants. She grabs a knife and Trevor runs it, thinking this bitch is crazy. We see a woman called Dr. Madeline, and Rose pays her a visit. They sit and Rose explains about what she saw. Rose thinks she has been going through post-trauma, however Madeline says she thinks she is just stressed from all of her work and tells her to come back and continue their regular sessions before they look at any medication. She arrives at Holly's son's party and meets her friends. Holly's son is opening his presents and goes to get Rose's one. He opens it and finds Rose's dead cat inside. Rose, in shock, gets the cat and cries, saying it wasn't her, and pleads for everyone to believe her. Everyone is around her looking at her like a complete physico and sees Laura smiling at her. She cries out saying, "Why can't no one see her?" And then she appears right next to her. Rose, scared, falls back straight through a glass table. Yeah, this just gets crazy. While at hospital, Dr. Desai comes and checks up on her, worried. While talking, she looks outside and sees Holly and Trevor. She focuses on them and sees Holly explaining about how crazy she is. Her and Trevor arrive back home, and before they go inside, Rose tries to explain herself to Trevor, and she tells him about all the weird stuff she has been experiencing. This does nothing but just creeps him the hell out. Trevor sleeps on the couch and Rose looks through the witness statements again. She finds the teachers who killed himself's wife name, but then starts to hear a voice as the floorboards creak. She goes to bed ignoring it, and we see this thing outside her room watching her. The next day, Rose visits the wife called Victoria. They sit and talk about the teacher. Victoria explains he became very paranoid and would see him having conversations with himself. The last time she saw him was when she had to identify the body. Rose asks what he saw and Victoria takes her to a room. Here was all of her husband's sketches of what he saw. Victoria then explains this all started when he saw a woman kill herself. She asks Victoria for the name and tries to explain to her he was not insane, as she is seeing the same thing she was seeing. Victoria takes this the wrong way and screams at her, telling her to leave. She leaves and arrives at Joel's apartment to meet him. She asks him for a favor and he laughs. She asks if he can find out if the teacher was involved in other police statements, and he reluctantly agrees. He searches through and finds that he handed its statement as he witnesses a woman called Angelina kill herself at a hotel. Joel sees the picture and Rose has a look. He does a search on Angelina and Joel finds out she was a witness in another suicide 4 days before hers. They see the video of the suicide and see the man kill himself in front of Angelina. Rose rewinds it and sees the man smile before he kills himself. Joel questions on what's going on, however, she just asks if she can use his printer. Rose arrives home and finds Trevor with Madeline. Rose questions what's going on and Trevor explains he called her as he is worried for her. Rose argues back and explains that she feels betrayed, so she walks out. She goes to Holly's house. She comes outside and Rose starts explaining on what's going on, however Holly stops her and tells her she has lost her whole mind. Holly says she sounds like their mom, however Rose tells her you were never there when she went crazy. They argue about it and Holly goes inside and tells Rose she can't have her around like this. Rose gets in her car and the thing looking like Holly comes out of her house. She knocks on the window, then bends her head down. This terrifies her, makes her scream to herself, and Holly's son sees this from inside. She parks off and has something to eat. Then she gets a phone call from Joel. He explains after she left, he'd done some more digging and found 20 connected cases and 19 suicides. There was only one case different, as a man killed a woman, however the rest killed themselves, making the pattern resume. She asks Joel for the guy's name and tells her where he is. They arrive at the jail to meet the man who survived. They walk in the visiting room where we meet the man called Robert. Rose asks Robert about what he experienced before as she lies, saying she has a patient going through exactly what he would have gone through. Robert tells Rose to make Joel leave and he will explain. Joel leaves and Robert explains he broke the chain from a case he found in Brazil. This is when you have to kill someone while someone witnesses it. He is telling her to tell her patient to make the biggest mess, however she screams she can't kill someone. Robert hears this and realizes she has it. He screams the guards to get her away from him. They come in and take him away. She leaves and Joel asks what happened. She claims nothing and says he is out of his mind and make ways back. She arrives home and studies all of the cases. However, she hears the doorbell. Madeline arrives at the door and explains she needs to see if Rose is better as she will have to notify the authorities. She sits down and Rose explains she is completely fine and does not need any help and just says she had a lack of sleep. Madeline questions her asking how she is feeling today and she explains everything is going wrong. While talking, the phone goes off and it's the real Madeline saying she has been trying to get hold of her. This then reveals she has been talking to the demon the whole time and it attacks her saying it's almost time. Rose arrives at her old workplace with a knife. She walks in and goes to Carl's room. She goes towards him with a knife and Dr. Desai walks in. He questions her actions, but then she goes to stab Carl, however Carl just laughs and smiles. Dr. Desai then rips his face off, making Rose wake up, showing it was all a dream. She then hears a knock on the window being Desai. He questions her, but she gets scared and drives off. Joel calls her telling her police are after her, however she says as long as she is alone, then the curse can't get passed on. Rose decides to arrive at her old house. We watch the scene where Rose walks in to find her mom, and we learn the mother called for help, but Rose ran away. Rose then looks the room and relive old memories. She gets a lamp and sits in the dark. She hears a noise and finds her mom in the room crying. They talk and Rose explains she was a monster as they go back and forth. And while they are talking, Rose says this is not real. The mom then goes back into the demon and begins to walk towards her in its real form. Rose then gets attacks and then Rose hits the lamp against the demon, setting it on fire. She leaves while the whole house burns down. She looks back and looks the house burn. She goes back to Joel's place. She talks to him and explains she is sorry for bringing him into her mess. She goes on and explains about how valuable he is to her and asks if she can sleep with him to look after her. He agrees he will look after her, however he begins smiling and the lights go out. Here we learn it's the demon and not him. She tries to leave, however when she comes out, she realizes it's all an illusion and sees she is still at the house. She then sees Joel outside. This creeps her out and so she runs back inside. Joel tries to break the door down and Rose hears the demon from behind. He comes up to her and rips its skin off, showing its true form. Rose then stops screaming and turns into shock. The demon then goes inside her. Joel finally breaks down the door and finds Rose looking at him while smiling. She pops the matchbox open and Joel witnesses Rose burn herself alive. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications for more. We will see you on the next one.